On the last video in this series, we talked about one of the reasons why I myself became an entrepreneur. And in that video, I made a statement. I stated that this particular video in this series altogether is for individuals who are entrepreneurs. And I qualified it by saying that an individual had to have at least one contract. Well, you see, it would be disingenuous for me to say that and then not provide an avenue or suggestions on how that you personally could find that first contract that you're looking for. So, what is the difference between a novice technician and someone that is highly skilled and motivated? Well, the only difference is time and execution. See, the more time a person spends in a particular endeavor, the more experience they gain, and through application, the better they become. So if you are a novice individual and you're trying to build your business, you're trying to become an entrepreneur, or even if you are currently employed and you're looking to branch out and start your own business, this particular part of the series is especially for you. So now, what are some of the things that I would suggest in trying to obtain the first contract? Well, one of the first things I would suggest is not to be afraid to make mistakes. You see, as you're learning, a good indicator of whether or not you're serious is your approach to the mistakes that you make. If you make a mistake and then you're able to remedy that mistake, if you're able to learn from what you did, correct that behavior, and move forward, then there will be nothing that can stand in your way. But now, as individuals who want to start a business, it will require that we interface with the public, but it will also require that there is some etiquette on our part when we interface with potential customers or clients that we have that have already booked our services. So here are a few of the things that I would suggest. And I have my notes here. As far as job etiquette is concerned, never be afraid to ask questions. See, when you're asking questions, you're trying to determine specifically what's needed in the situation. If you encounter a situation where you're doing an installation, especially like, let's say, for instance, if you're installing a security system, when you come into the dwelling, even though you may have some prior knowledge of how the devices should be installed in the home, it would be the best course to confer with the customer or the client to see what are their thoughts. So never be afraid to ask questions. Ask them where would they prefer the devices be placed. And then the next one is don't be nervous. And I know that that's probably going to be a hard one now, because if this is your first time putting in a security system, if this is your first time doing some work on the side for your own self, then there is a level of nervousness that comes along with it, not because you're unqualified, but because you want to do a good job. And that's a good thing, because it helps you to be prepared, it keeps you on your toes, it keeps you focused. But don't let your nervousness overwhelm you, because even if you're a new technician, it takes time to get to the point where you're comfortable in situations that you face. You're called upon to use your skill, believe in yourself, and believe that you can use your skill to meet the needs of your customers. But as I mentioned, don't let your nervousness get to a point where it overwhelms you, or else it'll paralyze you and you won't be able to showcase the skills that you have. And then the next one, this is a very important one. This is one that I use every time I have a client or a customer that I'm interfacing with that has already booked an installation with me. Arrive early. So if you tell a customer that you'll be there at noon, what you're actually telling them is that you'll be on the premises at 11:45. You tell a customer, I will see you at 2 p.m. What you're actually telling the customer is that you will be there at 1:45 p.m. Be early. And what this suggests to the customer, when they see uh, your arrival before the time that you told them, it imprints on their mind that they are a priority to you. So much so that you are willing to come 15 minutes early and make sure that you are there at the time that you two agreed upon. So as I mentioned, it imprints upon their mind that you're serious about the endeavor that you two have agreed upon. You're serious about the quality of your work. You're serious about not only your time, but the customer's time. Okay? Be flexible. So you may come into a situation where you feel that the answer or the solution to a particular problem that you face on this particular job should be one way. But always be open to seeing things from different perspectives. If there are other ways to look at it that will help you to arrive at the same solution, it will help you arrive at a place where the customer is happy with the work that you've done. Be open to that. Be open to updating anything that has to do with offering your skills to the public. And like I said, you want to be flexible to the point where you're not stagnant. A flexible person is always learning. He's always growing. He's always moving forward. That's what flexibility is. And then the next one is to dress appropriately. Now, there's a great amount of difference between sitting down with a customer and going over a contract, the dress that you would have for that occasion, and actually showing up for the work. Now, unless the contracting that you do involves a suit and a tie, I wouldn't expect you to show up to the job site with a suit and a tie on. That may just be reserved for signing the contract, looking over the contract, making sure that both parties are in agreement with the contract. But regardless of whatever situation you find yourself in, make sure that you dress appropriately. But especially if you are involved in contracting that can get a little dirty, contracting that can maybe bleed over into a little bit of construction work, even in those cases, you want to dress appropriately. And what I mean by that is you want to have your clothes in good repair. You want your clothes to be clean. You want to be neat and presentable, even though the job requires that you may get a little dirty. You may have to encounter situations that call upon you to, like I mentioned, enter into some sort of construction work. Regardless of what you find yourself into, make sure that you dress appropriately. Then be open-minded. As I mentioned, that goes hand in hand with being flexible, being open-minded, being able to look at a project and see the various ways that the project can be solved, the project can be finished with the customer's approval. There's different ways to get to the same objective, so be open-minded and be flexible in that regard. And then the last one, but certainly not the least one, wear a smile. A smile is inviting. A smile is calming to individuals who have invited you into their home or have invited you to do some sort of work for them. A smile conveys that you are a pleasant individual and that you want to have a good relationship with the individuals who you contract with. So overall, that etiquette creates an atmosphere of trust and reliability. And trust and reliability is absolutely necessary to anyone who wants to go into contracting, into their own business, because that has to do with customer retention. If an individual can trust you and they can rely that the work that you do is good and that it will stand the test of time, individuals have the tendency to come back to you because they know that the first time dealing with you, that you put forth the best effort that you possibly could and the job turned out wonderful. So there's no need to look for anyone else. We already have someone in mind. And then that atmosphere of trust and reliability, it comes in handy because now that also creates word of mouth. And that word of mouth can go from customer to customer. And so as we mentioned, that will build your clientele. And so when you get to a point where your word of mouth is good, your work is good, and now you're on track to having a successful business. So what else? We've talked about a whole lot of things in regards to etiquette, but where can I find a contracting position right now? That's the thought. Is there anywhere that I can find a contracting position to start off with right now, whether I'm a novice or whether I'm highly skilled? Well, the first thing I would encourage you to do is to make use of social media. Craigslist, Facebook, Instagram. Now, these forms of social media are more for individuals who have done work and they want to display their work. Now, with Facebook, individuals can advertise their skills. They can tell individuals that they're into plumbing, or maybe they're an electrician or HVAC, any of those things, and they can showcase jobs that they've completed, and then individuals can contact them. I say Facebook because that's one of the more popular ways to do it, but you can also do it on Craigslist, and you can show your work on Instagram. But now, I want all of the individuals who are looking for a contract right now to pay attention to the next couple of seconds that we're going to talk. Right now, you can find a contracting position with one of these three companies: Handy for Pros, TaskRabbit, and then Hello Tech. Right now, you can sign up. And there are going to be certain requirements, certain things that you'll have to do. So you'll have to be able to have your own transportation, and that transportation will have to be insured. You'll have to be able to have a clean record as far as criminal activity. And then also you'll have to be able to pass certain tests that come along with each installation. So let's say, for instance, if you wanted to begin to install video doorbells or put in security systems, there would be training that would be given to you, and that training will require that you be tested in regards to what you've learned. Okay? Now, let's say, for instance, you decided that you want to go with Hello Tech. That's one of the contracts that I hold presently. And let's say, for instance, you said that you want to center on mounting televisions, flat screen TVs, right? So in the midst of you trying to mount these televisions, Hello Tech provides technical support. They provide insurance just in case there are difficulties that might happen along the way. But then also they give you a list of tools that you will need. And the reason why I focused on Hello Tech is, as I mentioned, they have an insurance policy that you can take out as a technician, as a contractor, and it will cover any damage that might result from work that you do. And I think that's very important because that's a good selling point. When you're talking to individuals and they want to make use of your services, they can contract through Hello Tech to get you. And then after having repeated success with you, some individuals might choose just to come to you directly. But the insurance that Hello Tech offers is a protection to individuals who are independent contractors. It's a good way to say that no matter what happens, the customer is assured that they will be okay. All right? So now that's something that you can do right now. Any of the three, Handy for Pros, TaskRabbit, Hello Tech, you can sign up today. And when you sign up, don't be afraid to take on the jobs that are out of your expertise, because what happens is the more that you continue to work at anything, the better you'll become. So that's the first thing we can do. That's the first contract that we can secure. These three services, once again, Hello Tech, TaskRabbit, Handy for Pros. Any of those three. And so after obtaining those, one of those three contracts, then we can begin to build our business. We can begin to get experience at the same time, and we can begin to get some knowledge of how to use the tools that's involved. And make no mistake, the knowledge that you acquire in learning how to use the tools, let's say for instance for a job to mount a television, those same skills translate into installing other things. The use of the tools and the knowledge of how to use them properly, it translates into other areas. So now that's what we have. That's the process that you can do immediately to obtain your first contract. And then who knows, based upon the performance that you give in regards to either one of the three, then you begin, as we mentioned, to build your clientele. And then as you're building clientele, you're getting experience. And as you're getting experience, then see, overall, you're becoming a more skilled technician. So I would encourage everyone, if you haven't looked into it, look into those three or any of the contracting opportunities in your area, because those contracting opportunities can help you build the foundation for someday entering into having your own business. I thank you for your time. I appreciate everyone that tuned in. As always, be easy.